What's up, everybody, and welcome to Reviews for My Kids, the show where I recap, review, and reminisce on all of the things I've grown to love over the years to not only share with my kids, but with you as well. Kids, today we're diving into another episode of Nickelodeon's Doug, a real heartwarming one. Let's get into it.
Hit it.
That's me.
Friendship, puppy love, and a little bit of jealousy. Let's break down the episode of Doug's Dog Date. The episode kicks off with a flashback to Doug's childhood, where he's riding on Porkchop like a pony. Doug tells us that he and Porkchop were always the best of friends, like two peas in a pod. Fast forward to the present, and we see Doug sitting on the porch playing his banjo and singing a sad song about how he feels like he's lost his best friend. Enter Roger, because, of course, Roger shows up to mock Doug for being abandoned by his dog. Doug somewhat reluctantly agrees, though, which sets the tone for the drama that's about to unfold. Doug takes us back a few days when Porkchop starts acting, well, odd. Doug tries to get Porkchop's attention with a paper airplane, but Porkchop doesn't even blink. Then, Doug offers him his favorite snack, Peanutty Buddy ice cream, and Porkchop turns it down. This is definitely not normal. Doug imagines a hilarious scenario where he and Porkchop are in a lab, and their minds get switched by a mind-swapping machine. Doug's now in Porkchop's body, and Porkchop is in Doug's. Talk about a role reversal. Realizing something's up with Porkchop, Doug takes him to Dr. Dorsal, the local vet, who reassures him that Porkchop is physically fine. But since Porkchop's behavior is off, Dr. Dorsal suggests Doug play detective to figure out what's wrong. The next day, Doug dons his detective hat and his dognet badge and starts observing Porkchop's strange behavior. He catches Porkchop listening to sappy love songs and moping around. Doug's detective game is quickly derailed, though, when Patty shows up and invites him to play beatball. But Doug spots Porkchop sneaking off and decides to follow him instead. Porkchop ends up at a fancy house, and who should show up but Mr. Dink? He explains that Porkchop has the case of puppy love. There's a female dog Porkchop's fallen for, and it's all starting to make sense now. So, Doug helps Porkchop get ready for his big date. He even gives him a curfew, be home by 10 p.m. Doug tries to entertain himself by playing some backyard chess alone, because who wouldn't want to do that? But he quickly gets bored. He starts drawing pictures of Porkchop, missing his best friend. As night falls, Doug starts to get worried. He tells his parents about Porkchop's absence and runs outside to call for him. When Porkchop finally shows up, Doug is furious. Porkchop has been out all night, too busy being in love to pay any attention to Doug. Doug even asks if Porkchop would choose his lover over his owner, but Porkchop just wanders off into his igloo, still love-struck. The next day, Doug goes to check on Porkchop and offers him a doggy delight, but Porkchop is gone. Roger pops up and casually mentions seeing Porkchop with a suitcase, and Doug is convinced that his dog is leaving him. During a game of barnyard chess with Skeeter, Skeeter suggests Doug get a new pet, but Doug's not having it. Doug imagines a new pet lobster, but it just sits there. When it pinches him on the nose, Doug quickly decides a lobster isn't a suitable replacement for Porkchop. Just then, Doug hears Patty calling, reminding him to come play beatball. Doug feels guilty for neglecting his friend, so he apologizes to Skeeter for leaving him out, and they make up. On his way home, Doug realizes Porkchop might be back, and he rushes to the house. And sure enough, there's Porkchop sitting on the porch, heartbroken. Turns out the female dog has ditched him for another dog. Doug reassures Porkchop that he's still got him, their friendship is still intact, and that's all that matters. The episode ends with Doug and Porkchop back to their normal routine, just in time for Skeeter to go on his own date. But Doug's not worried. He knows his best friend will always be back.
Oh well, he'll be back. Sooner or later, he'll be back.
This episode is such a great example of the heart and humor that makes Doug so special. From Doug's over-the-top imagination to the sweet and relatable bond he shares with Porkchop, it's a classic. Who hasn't worried about losing a pet or even a best friend? And who hasn't felt a little jealous when someone else captures their best friend's attention? I know I have, plenty of times, and when growing up, and even a few times as an adult. And without a doubt, you two who are watching this will experience something like this at some point in your life. And when it does, utilize the lessons that Doug learns in this episode. Friendships are going to change over time, and that's okay. Embrace the change, for that is the beauty of life. This episode introduces us to Dognet Doug, which was a parody of the popular detective show in the 1960s, Dragnet. I give this episode 3 dog bones and 1 igloo doghouse. What's fun about this episode is that it portrays a pretty accurate depiction of the kinship that someone has with their pet. And the friendship between Doug and Porkchop is one of the most memorable ones in television history. Now, kids around the age of 10 or 11 growing up, we got a dog named Rex. He was a great dog for about 17 years. He loved chasing my friends around the pool until literally his paws were raw and you had to be like, you have to stay inside now because you are just chasing too much and are going too crazy. You need to take a break. But it wasn't until Skid entered my life that I felt like I got my very own Porkchop. Skid had a personality of a human almost. He and I could look at one another and just understand what each other needed. For him, it was almost always to go outside for a nice long walk. And for me, it was just his snuggles. Anyone that ever met him instantly fell in love with him. And he was just that special kind of pup. He was the best dog I could have ever asked for. Who knows, though, in the future, we just might have a new pup who will fill our hearts the same way Skid and Rex filled mine. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Reviews for My Kids, the show where I recap, review, and reminisce on all of the things I've grown to love over the years to not only share with my kids, but with you as well. Tune in next time. Bye!